Doesn't pop in a minute, I'll give him a call.
I start the meeting?
You can start the meeting.
Hey, welcome. This Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, meeting of the Select Board is a special meeting to discuss property tax abatements.
Anything for me?
Well, we need to go through all these names on the list.
We can go through it as you got in your email. You have kind of the second page in your list is a breakdown of the assessments. There's refunds for all the ones on the top and a deny on the bottom. I'm gonna call Norm right now and guess you can talk to the people in the crowd if you want to see if there's anything there, but let me.
Well, if you folks would introduce yourselves.
Is there anybody who has an abatement on the list?
Hello, I'll put you on speakerphone right now.
If I could have your names,
Hi,
I
Brad
think-
Golden,
say that again, please.
Brad Golden, Bassett Group.
I'll put you on speaker.
Task group.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
You might have to
Okay.
put it in the middle so that, I don't know if he's, can he hear?
Yeah.
us?
John Essler, Crystal Lake Rose.
Hold on, Norm.
Ready to go?
I don't see,
John Essler, Crystal Lake Hills.
Yeah.
I don't see the Essler name on this list.
Not here about abatements.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That's our only order of business today.
So,
Okay, let's do it.
yeah, so we have recommendations from the assessor.
Are you on the list?
Yes, I'm on the list.
Task group.
Okay.
It was just lucky because I went down to town hall and they printed out the agenda for me. And so, I think possibly.
Okay. So Norm, we have the Bass group here online. Or in person.
Okay.
I'll let the select board go through their thing and I'll let you know.
So,
Okay, yeah, oh, okay, still there?
Yeah, just hold on a minute.
Okay.
so John, my suggestion is that we accept the recommendations of the assessor, which would mean approving the majority of the list and the single denial for the unresponsiveness of the application. That's my suggestion, everyone.
Again, it looks like the follow-up items that were requested last meeting were done. And everybody else agreed and there's a date.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
so the gentleman from the Bats Group, did you have a specific comment to make?
Yeah, I have a couple, if I may. Right, can I approach the table?
Yes, please.
Yeah, no one will hear you otherwise.
All right, so,
You can,
thank you. Hi, everybody.
can you sit right here?
Yep.
I have the assessor on the phone, so he can hear you.
Hi, Norm. I'm well, sir. How are you tonight?
Frankly, I really apologize for this because I forgot my computer and,
Well, you've been out to the place and you did make some adjustments, and I'm appreciative of that. And I have, I'm gonna lobby again, if I may. The,
you're right, yeah.
The property that I purchased in May of 23 had not been lived in since 2006. Approximately, however many years that was. And then it was purchased and flipped by someone that's well known in the town. And 2 days before I bought it, he received his fresh assessment from the town that reflected all of the upgrades in the property, and I have not upgraded it since I purchased it. And so at the last 5-year assessment, the property was evaluated at 145.1, everything. After the flip and the new assessment arrived to the gentleman that flipped it, it rose 3 days before I purchased it. The fresh assessment after the upgrade was 166.1. And then after I purchased it, it went to 469.2. So that was a monumental jump from a fresh assessment 1 year earlier after the flip.
And you agreed to pay $498,000.
Correct.
So you're saying you overpaid, are you claiming you overpaid and you did it intentionally, or? Because that wasn't. a
You're
flip.
right on that, Kate.
He lived there. It wasn't a flip. He was living there.
No, Bruce was not living there. He told
I
me
know.
he slept a total of 2 nights there the entire time after he flipped it. And that's why he and his wife decided to get rid of it. And he just told me that 2 weeks ago, face to face. So. Sure.
During the flip, there was a lot done, and if that was done between, before April of 24, April 1st of 24, that would be reflected not only in the new revaluation numbers, but then the changes in the building permit. Whatever was done for the improvement. So that could have been a double whammy.
So you are mostly correct. The changes were signed off 4 or 5 months before I purchased it, and the property was freshly reevaluated such that the assessment letter from Julie Huntley came to, I might as well use names, it came to Bruce Monmany 2 days before I purchased it. So when I told him I was going to make an offer on it, he showed me the assessment. He said, I just got this like 2 days ago. And they raised it from 145.1 to 166.1. And then as of the 5-year assessment, it went to 469.2. And to Kate's point, and this was also on the list of what I was going to address right up front, was I had looked at 55 different properties, lakeside properties throughout New Hampshire, all over. Some of the board members here know that I mentioned Ciano in a couple of the meetings. And my findings as I traversed New Hampshire for 1.5 years trying to find clean water that did not currently have cyano and was not projected based on watershed and other things to have cyano, I knowingly significantly overpaid for the property. And I said to myself when I did it, because for me it's a fair amount of money, that I didn't plan on dying in the next 10 years, God willing, and that by 5 or 7 years out, the price I paid would come back into line. But you just can't find super clean water, and that's the case with Spec Pond. And even in the town assessor system, which I learned when I got a brief demo from Julie, Spec Pond is actually rated at a premium above the other 2 lakes in town, or the other 4 lakes in town, that are available to build on. It's like a 20% premium to be on Spec Pond and so that reinforced that I really had found clean water. And so in the 5-year reassessment, and Norm, nothing personal here, you gave me a good shake when you came out and you made some adjustments, fixing some obvious errors. And I'm appreciative of that. As you know, I had done a square foot calculation, and I'd like to present the board with this. I don't know where to start. Maybe Ed first. One goes on the other, okay? So I didn't want to complain when it first came out in the course of 1 year, went from 166.1 to 469.2. And yes, Kate, I purchased it at 498. And I said, you just can't go in front of these folks
Yeah,
and complain that the rent is too damn high.
there you go.
So the thing to look at is the upper right block. So I analyzed everybody on Lewin Road, all 22 properties,
That's what I'm pulling up here.
and flip the spreadsheets, John. The one on your right hand goes on the left.
Well, it's part of it. In other words, I could meet with you and go over this further and then I'll give a recommendation. They're up and down. This is sort of, some of it's new. And I think it helps the board to understand, instead of having to kind of decide tonight, but July 1 isn't a drop dead date at the end of the day. As long as you're notified prior to September 1, and we can rectify this, one way or the other. And I can be at the meeting, and just put this one aside. And you can present your information to the board now, and I'll get a copy of that. And we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, but I would like, because I'm almost through, I would like to finish what I prepared to speak to tonight to the board.
Well, I gotta say,
So
sir,
what happened, John?
sir,
He
you
said I
make-
could finish.
No, he's the chair. You were going to listen to him.
you made a really conscious decision. You evaluated that place when you bought it,
Yes, it did.
and that's what it's worth, in my opinion.
Well, I
That's state.
I think the current evaluation can still be adjusted because there were a couple of points that Norm, I think with everything he had to do in the 5-year assessment period here, it had to be absolutely crazy.
Your purchase price takes precedence, I think, over anything Norm is likely to do.
The big issue is state law bases the reevaluation on actual purchases, and yours is a very real purchase, whether or not you decided to pay extra. They typically take that in. So it also, when you did that, it raised the cost to all of your neighbors. So, because I'm looking at the Ungarellis who are even more and have a 0.6 acre lot. Jeanette Stilson, who's right next door, is at 462.8, and she has not gotten, she has a, stone basement and has not undergone a full,
She does have a basement. I've been in
it's
it.
a stone, yeah, she's stone. And
And I'm on pylons, not even a slab.
Yeah. But I'm saying I think if you were to make that argument, then the argument would be that you know what I mean? That's not how state law works. Right? And that's the same thing with all the folks in the mobile home parks. I mean, we have one that sells, unfortunately, for $250,000. You have a 1970s that you feel is probably still worth 15, like you paid for it. And this is not something that we make a decision on versus like, we don't choose the value, nor makes us recommendation to us based on state law.
And so what happened is that I think it's still out of whack. The revised spreadsheet after the reassessment puts me at $155 a square foot. The red block is the new reassessment, and then that is the extrapolation of it, and everybody else stayed the same because, and
I
so.
will let Norm discuss it, but there is, you can't use square footage.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't really work that way. Norm, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, there's a diminishing returns of square, especially on lake frontage, or pond frontage. You have a lot of the value is in the land. So when you take your total assessment and divide it by 600 square feet cottage, you're gonna get a high number. So,
No, 900, but yes, that's what happened.
well, I'm just using that as an example. So, yeah, so when you're including land value in that calculation, it gets skewed very quickly.
However, as a guy who has stood up industrial factories and built many buildings in his life, square footage is a good general gauge of, and so,
I don't think you're listening to what Norm is saying. I don't think you're listening. to
no,
what
I
we are
am
saying.
listening.
You are just
Where I was
bullying
going was,
forward,
as I think
and I would like to
the
end
land
this.
is undervalued and the cottage is
You've
overvalued.
said that many times.
Not yet.
I mean, if I were to make a personal determination based on what I know, I would say we would be taxing you on the amount
The
you paid.
recommendation.
That because you agreed to pay it, that makes it by, that's how state law looks at it for all of your neighbors. So it raised.
I couldn't sell it for what I bought it.
that-
It's not, none of the sticks
done
averages of
myself.
Twilio and the rest are close to what I paid for
Let
it.
Eric make a recommendation.
So here's my recommendation. I can see two paths forward. One, we have a recommendation from the assessor. I'm comfortable with that if you agree to it. The other alternative is for you to go back and meet with Norm again. And we'll get another recommendation from the assessor at a future meeting. The current recommendation is for 75,000 below your purchase price. At 423,600 versus the 498, which the original 469 was below the 498, and this is another is even further below. So he has reduced it 75K below the purchase
Yep.
price. If you're comfortable with that, we can go forward with Norm's recommendation tonight. If you would prefer, if the rest of the board's comfortable, I'm comfortable sending it back to Norm.
Norm, would you
I'm not
be
real
okay visiting
comfortable
with me
sending
again?
it Back to Norm, I think we can make a decision tonight.
What does agreed mean?
What?
Just as a point of clarification, I have a column here that says agreed. What does agreed mean?
That Julie had got some sort of confirmation that they.
From the
agreed to
property.
assess.
So,
No.
okay,
She handed me the form with the redone numbers, and she handed me the 3-page form to contest it as either with the state or with the court, and I haven't looked at that yet because this meeting preceded that.
I think there was something in the packet that said if you disagreed with this, to let her know.
She handed it to me in draft form when she first handed it to me. It wasn't, Norman had not finished what she called the narrative. I think that was the word. And then I got in the mail the final print. So honestly, if I'm pretty straight, and as you probably can figure, I'm not too bashful. If I'd have agreed to this, I would own up to that. So I don't know if, Julie's pretty on the ball. I don't know if she had I don't think I gave her any reason to say that I accepted it, but I don't know how she would have interpreted it. I,
Well,
Eric, John,
you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we refer the Bass Group application to the for further review by the assessor.
Do we have any second for
I'll
that?
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. It passes.
I think going forward, we need some clarity about what agreed means then.
Yeah.
I read agreed, I'm very black and white, so when I read agreed, it means like you signed your life away.
But you take the time to come here, so
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah, no, I know, no, I fully agree, and I think that's,
So she has the procedure.
I know, I have the procedure in
Yeah,
front
so
of me,
it
and I'm like,
It means that there was agreed in writing, and so I'll,
We have
you
to
know,
back-
capitulate that something went wrong here and we should probably figure out what
that's,
it was like.
Because I'm holding this now, like, if it says-
And you're clearly here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to understand.
We-
That gap.
and can we, yeah. Whatever you and Norm look at, if we could circulate it. I would make a motion on, and then the other two items that were assigned out look like they were followed up on and agreed.
What other,
So they're not you.
oh, okay,
Now you're-
So that
I'm
was
done.
Charles Bacon
I thank the board, thank you.
and it says Hackman. I don't know which Hackman entity it is. I know Lloyd was here last time, but I don't think it's in his name. It's probably trust. Those two got done, so I will make the motion to. Do you want to, as like issue the refunds?
Oh, may I ask? Huh? Wait, I was under the impression those checks would come out for the refund granted so far.
Okay.
And she told me.
Yeah, your email in writing is right here where you
That
agreed
says you
to it.
agreed to.
It is your email with your name and you asked about a refund check.
No, she said, how do I get the refund check to you? And I said,
I
I
think
don't
that's
have a deliverable mail address in Enfield. Please make sure you send it and make it payable too.
I think that's where the lack of clarity came from. Is it looks very much when I read it and a black and white person I am, it looks like you agree.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
agree, sends refund.
Right.
If I'd have known that she asked that question, I would have, if that was the implication of where do we send the refund? From my perspective, it could have been a two-tiered thing where this has been granted, and then if you wished to further pursue it for potentially a even lower amount, that could be a second check. So I don't think agreeing to a single check is acceptance of.
I think
the
that that's
condition.
a learning moment for you, because we don't come back and do it over and over and keep giving people little bits of money off. It's not a grocery store coupon. So this is a one-time process. And so I think you've learned something. We've learned something about how you communicate and Julie communicates, and you're being given an opportunity through our motion to work with Norm. I think that's pretty generous.
I think I'm
So
very
I would
pleased
take
with the
it.
board's decision. Yeah, I'm not arguing with that.
and
I
also, just for clarity, you won't receive a refund check based on that email
Yes.
because your abatement's not being approved this evening.
Yes,
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I just want
Okay.
to make sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that now.
yeah, and I think this is a learning process, and so we're a small town, we can
Right,
make
and our
this.
next, it's gonna basically be, our next motion is gonna be to approve a bunch of refunds.
Which I was about
Do you want me to go through?
Oh,
I-
interesting. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I was gonna do it, but if you want to do it,
I-
but would you leave Lloyd off? The reason I was gonna do it was so that I could be included, and I can't vote if Lloyd's on there.
Oh,
And then you can do Lloyd separately,
yeah, okay.
since he is my uncle, and that would be fair.
Okay, I'll make a motion to grant the following abatements and for the following people in the following refund amounts. Appel, $576.63. Bacon, $1,606.54. Bates, $287.47. Pistaza, $167.41. Colburn, $984.20. Gagnier, $715.29. Gibbons, $886.08. Indian River Realty, $3,324.51. Mersky, $2,659.94. New England Telephone Operations, $3,520.20. Southworth, $877.63. Wilson, $7,971.44. Windswept Family Farm, $7,796.44.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay. Aye.
Alright, so now I'll make a motion to approve calling a payment and refund Hackman in the amount of $157.80.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
And then the last one is the one where it was unresponsive, so to deny, so I'll make a motion to deny the abatement for Civino.
Second.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
I could not.
No. Probably not, but it's okay. They'll pull it out.
Oh.
Adjourn.
Yep, I make a motion to adjourn.
Did you folks want to say something to us?
Sure would.
Well, please do.
Appreciate the time. John Essler, I think you know that. And I want to ask, first of all, how many of you people have not read the report by Lynn Green, Dr. Thies? If not read that.
I'm not gonna guess about it.
I have no idea what you're talking
I
about.
don't think any of them read it.
I've read it, but we've already done
I
it.
asked you to send it to the board.
I've read it.
Oh, maybe.
We're doing the same.
I've received it a couple times, and I've read it.
Okay, anything else that has read it?
You know I've read it. I've told you another
Oh,
meeting.
good, good, okay. Well, if you read it, I guess I should ask you what you think about it, but I won't bother with that.
If this was on the agenda, I would have been prepared to discuss it.
Oh, did I
Make it
miss?
quick. Okay.
If it's
I
something
don't. appreciate
time
that.
consuming that we should have had paperwork for, I'm gonna say no.
I think I missed
It's
the
not that
signature.
consuming.
All right,
I'll be done in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Report by anybody's that knows anything, estimate is out. The actual data is outrageously high, wrong. And it gives the impression that Crystal Lake is polluted. Oh, we have been taking samples recently in Crystal Lake, and you've seen some of them. To prove that Crystal Lake has crystal clear water, is not impacted by septic tanks to this tremendous pollution level that the report indicated. And I'd like you folks to reevaluate the septic rule. That's a tough one. The septic rule has driven people crazy on the lake. Strange term, and encouraged at least 3 people to sell their houses. Okay, right now. And I think if you hear the data, you might believe that the lake is not as polluted as was indicated and does not need that stringent a rule. Perhaps Mascoma does. Just heard from him, but Spec Pond doesn't. And I'm submitting that Crystal Lake doesn't. So I'd like to, however I should do this to get you to consider the rule again.
It's not our rule.
Say again, Ben.
It is not our rule. We ended up learning that it needed to come from the health officer.
Well, it
So
was.
so we discussed it, but
Ran through this.
it ran through the select board, but I personally, I really take objection to revisiting this over and over, especially when you're talking about one of your neighbors. This seems like a neighborhood fight club thing, more like a Facebook fight. And I don't, as a select board, want to engage in that kind of behavior. I'm really uncomfortable when neighbors don't get along and have differing opinions, having them come here, because this isn't a place to adjudicate that kind of behavior.
Yeah, not to be put down like that. I have a professional engineer experience in this business. And I've talked to a number of professionals about this rule, and I'd like you folks to be aware how outrageous the data was that you may have based an opinion on. And I think we'd like to open it up, so you discuss the rule. It's not a neighborhood, well, we're all neighbors. But I think that's enough.
Yeah, I think the position of the board here is gonna be that we put a lot of time, a lot of study into creating this ordinance. And there's a lot of support for it.
And it wasn't based on that data.
Yeah,
No.
and we are not at this point gonna change it. But I thank you for coming.
Well, that's not the end of it, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think at the bottom of the pile, I need the bottom two back because I think I missed a page, guys.
The bottom two.
Yeah, when they hit,
Do we want to adjourn now?
yeah, I started a motion to adjourn and there was a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.